and his 12. To proclaim the risen one's compassion and justice, to bring healing and hope to all. That gospel has been handed on now by that first generation of disciples to the next generation, and to the next, and to the next, and now to each one of us. By the simple contents of our own lives, we live our baptismal call in the quiet, simple, but powerful expressions of compassion and love that echo the same compassion and love of God. God who is Father and Son and brother and sister to us all. 4 years ago, I celebrated with you the 50th anniversary of my priestly ordination. And at that time, I pledged to you that I was going to continue to challenge each of you to assume the rights and responsibilities that the Second Vatican Council enunciated in Article 10 in the dogmatic constitution on the Church. And I quote, "Though they differ essentially and not only in degree, the common priesthood of the faithful and ministerial or hierarchical priesthood are nonetheless ordered to one another, each in its own proper way shares in the one priesthood of Christ." I said at that time that we ordained priests must share our leadership with you, the laity. Why? Because through our baptism, we share a common priesthood, and because there is so much to do if we are to build the kingdom of God. And that for me is what the challenge of this special feast day is all about. 3 weeks ago, I celebrated the religious education end of the year Mass. And I was presented at that Mass this beautiful crystal cross. The bottom of it reads, "For your love, dedication, leadership, and sharing the good news of Jesus with the children of St. Clare's parish." In making that presentation to me, Kerry Harney, a 6th grader, read the following, and I quote, "The religious education children would like to honor Monsignor Murphy. In our textbooks, a pastor is described as a priest that leads in worship, prayer, and teaching. That definition doesn't completely describe our pastor." End of quotes. And boy, if that is only partially true, that's quite a legacy. At that same Mass, I was presented from the Archdiocesan Catechetical Office, the Terence Cardinal Cook Award. Let me read to you a portion of what was stated in the words of the presentation, which moved me deeply. And again I quote, Monsignor Murphy has demonstrated again and again his commitment to enabling parishioners to answer their baptismal call to ministry. His staff is very familiar with his motto, we must meet the people where they are at. Those words could sum up no better where my journey in faith has led me as your pastor, and where I have challenged each of you to go. 4 years ago, on the occasion of the Mass for the 50th anniversary of my ordination, I made reference to two astonishing questions by retired Bishop Francis Quinn of Sacramento to two young priests he was ordaining. And listen to the challenging questions. Am I weak enough to be a priest? Am I deficient enough to feel what it is to be human? Today, 54 years after my ordination to the priesthood, and after 23 years as your pastor, I can honestly say yes to both questions. It's been a long journey, and I can say yes precisely because of the example and of the courage so many of you have given me down through the years in the midst of the tremendous challenges and heartache and suffering in your lives and the lives of your families. How many times have you heard me from this pulpit say to you, and I mean it from the depths of my heart, I need you much more than you need me. That's precisely why at the end of this Mass, I have requested that I receive your blessing today. Over the last 23 years, I have come to realize that we walk this journey together. And in doing that, I have gradually come to realize what a challenge it is for us to truly accept our own humanity. Father Richard Rohr says, the problem is no longer to believe in God, it is to believe in humanity. We are tremendously underconfident about what it means to be human. The older I get, the more I realize that the most courageous thing we will ever be called upon to do is to truly accept our own humanity. I think this might have been what author J.K. Rowling of Harry Potter fame had in mind in her commencement address at Harvard last month. She spoke of how in her life, as she puts it, she had failed on an epic scale. And then she goes on in that commencement address, why do I talk about the benefits of failure? Simply because failure meant a stripping away of the inessential. I stopped pretending to myself that I was anything other than what I was, and I began to direct all my energy into finishing the only work that mattered to me. And so, rock bottom became the solid foundation on which I rebuilt my life. 4 years ago, I was 75 years old, the normal retirement date for the priest of the Archdiocese of New York. I was seriously contemplating at that time retiring. In many ways, it was a low point in my life. That summer, along with Gail LaForge and Bobby Bulger, we participated in a Celtic pilgrimage in Ireland, led by my good friends Monica Brown and Hilary Musgrave. Participants came from all over the world. It truly was a wonderful experience. During that pilgrimage, we visited what is for me the most beautiful spot in all of Ireland, Glendalough. And there, beside a beautiful lake, there was played a ballad sung by world-famous Enya. Its title was Pilgrim. Let me give you the words. Pilgrim, how you journey on the road you chose, to find out why the winds die and where the stories go. All days come from one day, that much you must know. You cannot change what's over, but only where you go. One way leads to diamonds, one way leads to gold, another leads you only to everything you're told. In your heart you wonder, which of these is true? The road that leads to nowhere, the road that leads to you. Will you find the answer in all you say and do? Will you find the answer in you? Each heart is a pilgrim. Each one wants to know the reason why the winds die and where the stories go. Pilgrim, in your journey you may travel far, for pilgrim, it's a long way to find out who you are. Pilgrim, it's a long way to find out who you are. Pilgrim, it's a long way to find out who you are. It truly was a spiritual experience for me as I sat beside that beautiful lake and I heard that ballad sung. I literally could feel the fire in my belly reignited. And so, for better or for worse, you have had me as your pastor for an additional 4 years. I can now say that I truly believe that it is God's will for me that I move on now. Now each of us, as we continue on our journey, my prayer for us is that we truly be open to the flow of God's grace in our life. That grace is present in every moment of our lives. As my friend Richard Rohr puts it, we don't have to get there. All we need to do is simply to be there. It is ours for the asking. At the end of this Mass, I'm requesting a special favor. After the final blessing, I ask your indulgence in listening to Enya singing that ballad entitled Pilgrimage, which I have just referred to. It ends with the words, "Pilgrim, it's a long way to find out who you are. Pilgrim, it's a long way to find out who you are." That journey continues on for all of us. God bless.